Okay, when you think Area 51, your mind probably jumps straight to UFOs, right? Maybe some alien autopsies. But today, we're diving into a story that might be even more terrifying, precisely because it's 100% human. What if the most chilling secret hidden out there in the Nevada desert has nothing to do with beings from another world and everything to do with what we're willing to do to our own kind? This is the story of the Robertson experiment. We're looking at a much darker, lesser-known chapter in the base's history. It's a story about power, secrecy, and one man who was caught in the middle of a truly horrifying experiment. So let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in 1961. This is the exact same year the U.S. Air Force officially locked down the airspace over Area 51. And it's the year a civilian named John Robertson walked through its gates for the very first time. He wouldn't learn the truth about his job for 6 long years. And just 1 year after he did, he would be dead. So, who exactly was this man at the center of it all? Let's meet John Robertson and figure out what in the world he was doing inside the mysterious Hangar 7. Robertson actually landed the job through connection with a U.S. Army general. His official role sounded pretty mundane, really. He was just supposed to count the inventory of military weapons. Of course, he was told that what he saw or heard inside the base was never, ever to be repeated. He just had no idea how true that really was. You see, the surveillance on him was extraordinary, even for a top-secret facility. This wasn't just a secure workplace. It was basically a cage. Robertson had to wear a live microphone constantly. Security staff watched his every single move from a totally separate surveillance hangar, and dozens of cameras were recording everything. Every word, every step was being documented. And then there was the vapor. Every single night, right at midnight, like clockwork, this thick fog would just pour out of these massive ducts and fill the entire hangar. They told him it was a disinfectant, but it was so dense that visibility dropped to less than 5 feet. At first, you can imagine it was pretty unsettling. But over time, Robertson just got used to it. It was just part of the nightly routine. For 6 years, this was his life, a routine of counting weapons, being watched 24/7, and breathing in that nightly fog. But this routine was taking a really devastating toll on his body. Over the years, Robertson's health just started to fall apart. He was suffering from these debilitating headaches and was vomiting all the time. Then, these strange, dark spots started appearing on his skin. He went to see the facility's own doctors, but they just waved it all away. They told him it was just work-related stress and nothing to worry about. Then came 1967. This was Robertson's final year at the base. One day, he spots a familiar face, an old colleague. They arranged to meet in total secret, far away from the facility's walls and, its listening ears. This friend had access to confidential information, and what he told Robertson was about to shatter his entire reality. The revelation was absolutely chilling. Those weapons in Hangar 7, they were just props. The real purpose of the hangar, the cameras, the surveillance, it was all there to monitor him. That nightly vapor wasn't a disinfectant, it was a cocktail of chemicals. So was the food they gave him, and year after year they were secretly increasing the doses. John Robertson was the experiment. Now armed with this horrifying truth, Robertson's story takes its final, tragic turn. This is where a personal tragedy spirals into what many believe was a state-sponsored cover-up. In 1968, just 1 year after finding out what was really happening to him, John Robertson was dead. The 6-year experiment had reached its conclusion. The relentless chemical exposure had finally taken its toll. An autopsy revealed the horrifying truth. His body was filled with dangerously high levels of toxic industrial chemicals. We're talking dioxins, furans, and trichloroethylene. Look, these are not things a person just comes into contact with by accident. This was proof. This was evidence of systematic long-term exposure. His widow, Holly Harmon, refused to let it go. She filed a lawsuit against government officials, flat out stating her husband died because of chemical exposure at the base. But, as you might guess, the case was completely stonewalled. It never went anywhere. And the attempts to silence this story didn't stop there. Years later, Hallie decided to tell her husband's story publicly, hoping she could finally get some kind of justice. Just 4 months after she went public, Hallie Harmon was found dead in her Las Vegas home. The official cause? A heart attack, a so-called natural death. But why? Why would anyone do this to another human being? Well, the alleged answer is as ambitious as it is monstrous,
and it fits right into a dark pattern of Cold War-era experimentation. Let's talk about the super soldier theory. Now, this theory doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's rooted in an era when the lines between science and national security got really, really blurry. A time of secret programs, all aimed at gaining any possible edge over the enemy. The theory says that the ultimate goal of experiments like this is to create the perfect soldier. One who can withstand chemical attacks, resist diseases, and basically survive the unsurvivable.
And the method they supposedly used is exactly what happened in Hangar 7. You expose a human subject to ever-increasing doses of dangerous stuff over a long, long time, trying to force the body to adapt and become something more resilient. The goal was to create, and I'm quoting here, practically androids for the battlefield. It's a goal that requires you to stop seeing a human being as a person and start seeing them as just a variable, a test subject.
And so we're left with this really chillin' question. Was John Robertson an isolated tragedy, just a horrific abuse of power that was contained to one hangar? Or was he just one of many unseen casualties in a secret war to engineer the future of human warfare? It makes you wonder what other secrets and what other costs are still buried out there in the Nevada desert.